thing is calling people by their last name. All right, hi everybody. I'm here with my good friend Kyle. We're both physical therapists. We both work in Richmond, and we want to talk a little bit about our journey from clinical world to strength conditioning type world, and a little bit of insurance and kind of the role that's playing with a lot of people trying to get good musculoskeletal care.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I'm a physical therapist. I've been practicing since 2011. I worked in a couple of different more corporate settings and had good experience there for the last 5 years, but I just wanted to do something different. I've owned my own business, Adams Performance, which is strength and conditioning, fitness since
Shameless
2000.
plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless
sorry.
plug.
Since 2014.
If you're a baseball player, check them out.
Yeah, and kind of specialize in training baseball players and golfers. That's my niche. And really decided earlier this year that I needed to make the full switch all the way into owning my own facility and kind of doing things the way that I want to do them, and have been doing that pretty successfully here inside of a baseball academy for about 6 months now, with eventual plans to hopefully expand into some other things and get back into some musculoskeletal care in one form or another. So we'll see when we get there. Yeah.
All right, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris Fosdick. I'm also a physical therapist. My little elevator pitch is that I was a personal trainer and strength coach before PT school, and in many ways went to physical therapy school to kind of get better at that. So I had a big powerlifting kettlebell type background, and since getting out, I've done a little bit of everything: inpatient, outpatient, rehab, corporate wellness. So I try and be a little bit more diverse, but the majority of my focus and passion is in primary musculoskeletal care, diagnostics, and then sports performance. So these days I'm mostly working with recreational athletes, so not people who are professional athletes, but regular people who want to be athletic, and then combat sports athletes. So I work with a bunch of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA gyms, trying to make sure that they're taken care of, sometimes despite their best efforts.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go the traditional corporate route where they're asking you to work 50 hours a week, getting paid for 40 hours a week, and you don't get to spend as much time on your patients as I'd really like. So that's kind of how we met through a couple mutual friends at different gyms around the area, and hit it off, and we've kind of been cruising around these ideas and bouncing ideas off of each other.
Yeah. Well, tell everybody a little bit more then about, not only why you made the switch, but how you think kind of what you do and probably what I do is a little bit, different from the traditional role and, PT nowadays.
Gotcha. So when most people think physical therapist, and this comes up all the time when you're trying to introduce yourself, is they think of the guy or girl that their physician or primary care physician sends them to when the physician has no idea what it is, but it's probably musculoskeletal.
Yeah.
So you show up, usually they say, this is weak, this is wrong, and they want you to come in 2 to 3 times for X number of months. So that's a model that I feel is not as applicable these days.
Yep.
Because with advances in physical therapy, research, literature, and education, we don't have to throw the book at every injury and hope that it gets better. So we have much better tools at our disposal to narrow down what exactly is going on, and then what do we do to fix it.
And I think we expect better too.
Yes. We
should expect better.
Like if you took anybody and you said, hey, just do some stuff for 2 months,
Sure.
a large percentage of people are just going to get better because, hey, 2 months have passed.
Absolutely.
So one thing that we agreed on in some of the training that we got through like UVA sports medicine program is you really want to be more targeted and more efficient. And we felt like maybe we couldn't do that in the traditional corporate setting, so that's why we kind of stepped out and tried to go on our own paths.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me there was always that continuum of fitness, and that's what I kind of got known for in more of the corporate world. Was I had a lot of word of mouth business that seemed to be coming in, and people that would come to me because they knew that, hey, I had a little tweak when I was deadlifting, or baseball play. It doesn't matter what it is. I just had some low back pain. It may be chronic pain, and those scenarios are a bit different. But for me, I always felt like a lot of stuff that we do in the clinic that everybody knows about now that are cool things to change pain, like manipulating spines and dry needling and soft tissue work techniques. All that stuff is great, but it probably kind of takes away pain for a while, and then a lot of people will say, like, if they're not doing other stuff, they're not getting better. So for me, it was always fitness is the way that we actually make probably tissue change, and that's how we make people more healthy.
Long-term changes.
Yeah, long-term change. It's actually going to make people more fit long-term, so they don't have to come see me, right? Because I enjoy when somebody comes to see me personally for a visit, maybe two, where we tweak some stuff, we dial some things in, and we can handle things quickly, as opposed to somebody that's been floating around for a while, or kind of, expects like 6 months of treatment or something like that. That just doesn't really fit in my model, and it's just I'd probably, there's other avenues for those people to receive treatment, maybe more traditionally, and if they're fine with that, that's cool. I'm just probably not their guy. I would just refer them out somewhere else. So I'm cool with that.
And that was a big component for me, because when I was a personal trainer, like the biggest story post physical therapy discharge was someone come in and they'd have a scar and be like, hey, what's going on with you? And they're like, oh, I had my ACL replaced a couple months ago. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, are you working with therapists? Like, what's going on here? And they'd almost typically say, I was going to my physical therapist, but I did the same things every time. Just went to the gym and did off of a flow sheet. So, why was I paying to go to the therapist when I already belonged to a gym?
Yep.
So that interaction over and over and over kind of got my mind to where it is now, which is, hey, if you had someone who could do this stuff in the gym,
Sure.
then you wouldn't have to double pay for access to a gym.
Yep.
You'd have access to someone who has both the legal authority to be like, yeah, it's all right,
Sure.
as well as the expertise to make sure that it was actually okay.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think that also creates an environment where you have somebody that can more cost effectively manage what you got going on. I mean, whether that's like, hey, I'm the head honcho, I'm the PT, and I'm kind of directing care of somebody, but we have some other great personal trainers or training staff that can a little bit more affordably also oversee that kind of intermediate step down, and then, hey, maybe eventually you're all the way, on your own training and getting after it, or checking in. I mean, but more of that team approach that actually is, hey, affordable for people, but it works out great for us too, make no mistake about it, because not only do we enjoy doing that, but it allows more access to us more often. So people may not come and see us for 15 visits for something, or 25 visits after an ACL. Maybe they see somebody else or us for a period of time, and then we manage them, once a month or a couple times a month, and it's just it works well for everybody. And I think that's the model. Is it's we make money and can live a good earning, but a good lifestyle, but at the same time, patients get the absolute best care, and it's as fun as it possibly can be too for everybody involved. So it's just it's a much more dynamic, positive environment.
That's one of my favorite parts about the way I'm practicing now, is you see someone, you figure out what's going on, you give your best upfront thing, and you're like, hey, just try this out for a week, 2 weeks. I do a lot of email and text follow-ups with the appropriate software, and I feel like that really makes it easier for people to reach out and sit there and say, hey, this has been working for me, this hasn't been working for me.
Sure.
So you can get a lot of that initial 5 to 10 minutes that you would work into the beginning of their visit anyway, but they don't have to pay for it. I don't have to bring them in, and you can sit there and say, okay, if that's not working, then try this and this.
Sure.
So you can be much more communicative without having to be face-to-face exactly.
Yeah, and I would say a lot of our people too end up being, folks that are busy, that are working, that are typically already into fitness. That's probably both of our niche markets, and it doesn't have to be that way, or people that want to get involved in that. So you have, folks that already have limited time but do have the resources to spend time with you, but they better feel like their time is worth it, and valued, so that they can continue to kind of get after it and take care of those things more independently, usually quickly. Again, so I think that type of person and that kind of hybrid environment that we operate in works out, pretty good. I mean, I think it's, it's optimal.
I think we have a couple different duties. One duty is keep people who are already exercisers and chronic exercisers, keep them doing that.
Sure.
And then convince the people who aren't that they should, and help them kind of scoot along on that journey.
And that doesn't have to be like, deadlifting heavy weight, or it doesn't have to be formal in the gym, right? I mean, for some people that's playing golf or gardening or doing whatever, and we're cool with that too. You don't have to be a gym rat. We probably think it's a good idea for a lot of people to do something like that, because there's some structure, and we just don't have as many of those kind of outdoor fitnessy activities like our grandparents probably had. But
or just what, as they used to call it, life.
Life,
Like
yeah,
when you
absolutely.
had to chop wood if you wanted to stay warm.
That's right.
You got some exercise in.
Yeah, no doubt, but that's kind of what I always tell people nowadays too, is like, look, I understand that the gym isn't for everybody, but what is for everybody is maintaining some level of fitness and health.
Yeah.
And we don't get that in our daily lives now, and things are different, much like how we treat is different. So we need a different solution to a different type of a problem, and I think we're still trying to apply this model that was probably popularized in the 80s, in many capacities to the same type of issues, and it's in different issues nowadays, and it just doesn't. It's not, it's not ideal.
There's room for other avenues.
Yeah,
room for other avenues.
Absolutely, and I mean that's what's great about kind of being in this position and having the expertise of both, the clinical physical therapist and also a strength and conditioning coach is you actually are educated on both of those and you practice what you preach, and both of those avenues do create definitely a new resource for an awful lot of people, and a lot of people have no idea that I think folks like us are out there, because it's really tip of the spear, I guess.
It's also interesting times to be in this position.
Definitely.
With let's keep it brief on the political climate.
Sure.
That is surrounding healthcare
Sure.
right now in the great year of 2017.
Yeah.
So no one's quite sure what's going on, what's going to get paid for with insurance, how good the plans are. And let's face it, it's so complicated that who sits there and looks up what their physical therapy benefits are?
Absolutely.
If they've even heard of physical therapy before they get injured.
Yep.
Because before I got into physical therapy and kind of started down that rabbit hole, I knew my dad got sent to one when he tore his bicep, but other than that, I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Which I think we tend to forget just because this is our lifeblood. We love it. We
Sure.
live it and breathe it. So some people just have no idea what it is that we do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think one thing that we provide as typically out-of-network providers, or in my case now, since I'm just a cash-based, service as a strength, coach and performance facility, it's transparency. I think everyone wants some level of transparency, especially in medicine, and God knows we're maybe getting there a bit with some of the plans, and at least they're in electronic databases and stuff, but most people still have no idea what they're getting. It's a big question mark until they get their bill. I think with both of us, you know what you're going to pay, and it's this, and maybe it looks different and a little bit more than what you're used to, but when you spend a couple of minutes, and hopefully I think both of us will provide some more info in the future too, and into what all that looks like, once you actually see the numbers and the long-term practicality of all that, hey, me saving $10 or whatever a week seems like a lot now, but at the end of the year you got a ton of money saved up, and it's in a way it's kind of like that when you're investing in your health. It's a little here and there maybe, but it saves you so much and it helps you build so much. I think clearly the benefits outweigh any just kind of upfront, and hopefully we'll change some minds on that, and educate more certainly here coming up.
Yeah, what else you want to talk about? Anything else on your mind?
No, I don't think so. I'm about to probably go shoot the best round of golf of my life, I would say.
Really? You're
yeah.
feeling good? You got that confidence today?
Oh, it's
You're
dialed
dialed in?
Oh, it's dialed in.
Oh, man.
Yeah, new putter on the way. So I mean, I might break par soon. So.
Oh,
yeah.
I think you will.
Yeah. How about you? Anything else?
Oh gosh, I'm doing a lot of advertising today.
Yep.
Going around talking to people, trying to see if I can fill some niches for a couple different gym owners. Gonna do some jiu-jitsu later today.
Nice.
With working on double unders, not getting caught in some of the arm bars by the blue belts.
Yeah.
And probably continue working on some of my Olympic lifts, trying to get my jerk back over 300. Maybe relax a little bit at some point.
Nice. I got a kettlebell workout and then athletes this afternoon. So yeah, a little bit of the same myself.
So if you have any questions, Kyle and I are planning on doing this regularly.
Yes, indeed.
So we want to sit here and address your questions for some local Richmond boys who are trying to not save the world, just make it a little bit better.
That's it, no doubt about it. Look forward to all the questions and helping everybody out there. Talk to you guys soon.
All right, later.
Solid.